job. Wait, wait, wait. Go, 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 go. Good girl. Jump. Wait, 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 wait. Good girl. Now jump. Wait, 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 wait. Go, 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 go. Good job. Jump, wait. Good girl. So hello, friendly neighborhood YouTube viewers. If you don't know me, I'm Kara, and Charlie's over there playing with her ball. But you saw her in the intro. So this is my first tutorial video that a couple of people have been asking me how I taught Charlie her weave poles. So I'm going to do my best to explain this. If it's at all confusing, please comment or email me. Happy to explain how I did it. Let me throw in there that I'm not an agility trainer. This is just something that I kind of made up. But it works for Charlie and it worked for Josie. It's kind of different because I know the books and a lot of trainers recommend that you maintain speed while you're training the weave poles. But I think Charlie kind of needed to sit and figure it out, figure out the pattern. And once she got that, we just added speed, and I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I mean, she's not a border collie, she's not going to be doing weave poles in 2 seconds, but I'm pretty happy with them. So these are the weave poles that I use to train them. They were made from PVC for not a lot of money. It took me like an hour and a half. It wasn't that bad at all. I love these things. These are channel weaves, so they can spin out to make a channel in between the weave poles that teaches your dog which side of which pole they should go on. So let's get started. So what I've done here is separate the weave poles. That's what's great about PVC, is that you can totally take them apart. So I have 2 over there, which you can use to practice your entrances. Remember, always enter on the right. And I took these 4 and made it as wide as I could with the channel. And I chose 4 because it's an even number. And no matter which way you go, they're always going to be able to enter on the right side and leave on the correct side. So I think it keeps with the consistency. So I opened it as far as it went. And we're going to use clicker training, obviously. So my rules for clicker training, which these are rules that should never be broken, is 1 click equals 1 treat all the time. If you click, even by accident, that dog gets a treat. And don't worry if you make mistakes. Clicker training is really forgiving in that they're easily corrected. So we're going to have Charlie show these to you in a little while. If your dog makes a mistake, no big deal. We just ignore it and try again. Really simple. I think clicker training is a great way to do this because it's positive and they're not going to get a negative association with the weave poles. If they get frustrated, just take a break and try again in a little while. It's not a big deal. Alright, so let's get Charlie started here. This is kind of retraining for her, but a little refresher course never hurt anybody. So we got the channel weaves open as wide as they can. Charlie, come here. Thank you. So I'm going to start with luring, but I'm going to fade this as fast as I can. So what I started to do was I have the channel weaves open, clicker in my right hand, treats in my right, and I'm just going to take the dog right through the weaves. And I'm clicking as soon as her nose or her head passes the last pole. I'm not going to go back and forth through because I think that's kind of confusing. So I want to be consistent in my direction, and then once we get this down, we'll proof it with different directions, different locations, different entrances, and that's the part that really gets everybody. So I'm just going to do this a couple times. Oh, I dropped it. There we go. So you want to fade the treat as fast as possible. So once your dog gets the idea and is going through the channels, no problem, like he's seeing like he knows what he wants to do, you can name it. So I named it weave, obviously, and eventually I'm just going to fade the treat and just use my hand. So there's no treat here, but she doesn't know that. It still smells like treats. So I'm going to just go Charlie weave. Good job. And the treat comes out at the end. So this is helping Charlie to focus more on the obstacle and not my hand, because eventually my hand's not even going to be in the weave poles with her. So we're going to fade this, going from just my hand weave to, Charlie, come. To just my hand on the outside, or my hand not there at all, which is what I had to do with Josie, because Josie was very dependent on looking for my hand. So what I had to do with her was actually put my hands behind my back and just walk with her. So Charlie, weave like this. As soon as the dog passes the last pole, gets a treat. Click and treat. So you want to practice this from all different angles. I'm doing it on my left. Once they get that, make sure you practice it on your right. Okay, Charlie, weave. As soon as the last pole is passed, click and treat. So you'd be amazed how dependent they get for you being on one side. So definitely in these early stages, practice at different positions. Try and get them to go ahead of you. Try and get them to come up again to follow you. Charlie, the ball is a big draw. So you can practice a little lead out here. Charlie, weave. Very nice. Get this down solid. Charlie, weave. Very good. So this is an early stage for doing something very easy, just going up through the channel that you can practice to get your dog to move ahead of you. I know that's a big problem with Charlie, is that she was not too confident on all these jumps and the obstacles, so getting her to go ahead of me is continuing to be a big challenge, but this definitely helped. And whenever we do our weave pulls in competition, she's always ahead of me. She's fast, I'm slow, so it's just, nature of the beast, but we have to practice that. So once they got that down, you close in the weaves, and here's why I like these channel weaves so much, and not the ones that just stick in the ground, is that as long as you're consistent with how much you're moving each pole, the distance between the poles is always the same. So as long as you move them in the same direction. So I'm going to move them back about a quarter of the way. Ta-da! So they're closer together, but their distance between them is the same. So I love these weave poles. I will put the link to the plans to make these in the description. They're totally awesome. They're really cheap. And if you get 2 of them, you can connect them and do 12 weaves, which is cool. So Charlie, I know you want to play with the ball. So we're pretty much going to do the same thing here. If your dog gets a little confused with the closer distance, you can lure them again with the treat, but try to make them just do it right from the hand signal and no treats in your hand. So Charlie, weave. Good job. Good job. So we're going to do the same thing again. Make sure you proof it on the right, make sure you proof it on the left. Try not to go between the weave poles like I just did a lot, because we want to make sure that they know when you go through these weaves, you go through all of them, So it's not too confusing for them at the beginning here, and I think you can see where this is going, is that once you get a consistent going through the channel like this, close it in a little more, try it again, keep proofing it, close it in a little more, try it again. So once they get this down, in my experience training the 2 dogs, is that they're good until you get to right about here, where they can still see. Once they stop seeing the channel in between the poles, that's where things can get a little weird. So remember, stay positive, ignore mistakes, and just keep working on it. If you get frustrated, stop. It's not going to do your dog any good to try and force them to do anything, or for you to get mad or frustrated with them. Then it's just going to make a negative connotation with the weave poles, and this one's not moving. Alright. We want to keep this positive. We want the dogs to like this. So once you get down to this level, if you're looking through here, you could barely see a little space between the poles. So it gets a little confusing for them, but we're just going to take them through it. Good job. So when they do this, big reward, you know, oh, good job, you did so good, yay. Very nice. Excuse me. If they get confused, come here. I'll just lure them through one. She doesn't care, but if they go through, I get confused, and what you'll usually see is they go through one and then skip another hole and then finish on the wrong side. So that's what Josie did a lot, and I would just take her through with my hand one time to lure her, give her a good treat, get her confidence back, remind her of the pattern, and then try again. If she messed up again, I'll open them back up. So, and this will, you'll kind of see this happen in between training sessions, where you're at a certain point in the closure of the weaves and you try to start there and they'll forget until it's done. So it's not a big deal, just open the weave poles back up, go through 1 or 2 times just to remind them, and then close them back up and continue from where you were. It's probably better for them for you to do that. So Charlie weave. So I really like the clicker training here because if your dog knows the game, they're going to focus on the poles and not you. And that is something that I'm really happy with that Charlie does. So the more she's focusing on the weave poles, the more I can go to the next obstacle and set her up right for the next obstacle. And the less likely she is to see me doing that stuff and pop out. So she's going to be focusing on the weave poles, and when we're doing 12, I'll go out and, you know, get ahead of her or go out to the side more, and she's focusing on the obstacle, so she knows to finish those poles before she comes with me.